Hey toy collectors, welcome to another super exciting, outrageous toy review. Today we're taking a look at 4 Game of Thrones figures made by the loyal subjects. I just picked these guys up. They were on clearance at Hot Topic for $7 a piece, and they were buy 2 get 2 free. The packaging shows off several figures available in the line, including Daenerys Targaryen, Jon Snow, the Night King, Jaime Lannister, the White Walker, Tyrion Lannister, Searcy Lannister, as well as a few more rare variants, including another version of Searcy, a special Jon Snow, and a special Night King. I've been a fan of the Loyal Subjects figures for quite some time. In the beginning, they were all blind boxed, and that got to be kind of a pain. So I do enjoy that these guys come in window boxes, and I could see who I was picking out. In the package, I got a figure, I got a baggie for accessories, as well as a card that shows off some of the figures, and it has a little info about the figure on the inside. Here, I've got the 4 figures out of the package. The only additional character my Hot Topic had was Tyrion Lannister, and the fact that these figures have weird proportions, they're sort of like shrunken down, they have big heads compared to the size of their bodies, made the Tyrion Lannister figure not really look like a little person at all, and it just seemed weird to me. I also didn't think the head sculpt was that great, so I don't know, wasn't feeling him, so that was the one I left behind. We're going to start by taking a look at Jaime, because he's one of my favorite characters from Game of Thrones, and also I just really like the style of his armor here. I actually prefer Jaime's red and gold Lannister armor better than this gold armor, but it's still a really cool outfit. I believe there's a version of this figure that came with a golden hand, because it actually references that on the little card, but this one has 2 regular gloves. Jaime comes with... Whoops! He comes with a removable sheath and a sword that can be removed from the sheath. It just pegs into the side of his armor here, but it does come off really easy. There is some great detailing. Whoops. Let's see here. It's harder to do this on camera than it is in person. Let's try. There we go. He's got some really great detailing, and I actually think that the face sculpt is a pretty decent likeness, a simplified likeness to the actor that portrays him. He's got articulation at the head, it moves around, can look up and down a little bit. He's got articulation at the shoulders. There are no elbow joints, but he does have swivels at the wrists. He's got a swivel in the torso, and then down below that at the hips, he's got some articulation that is severely hindered by the skirt piece here, and then he's got knee joints as well as some ankle articulation. So, not insanely articulated, but definitely nicely articulated. The costumes on these guys do make it a little difficult for some of that stuff. He's got his white cloak on there because he's a member of the King's Guard, and he can hold his sword. I think this figure looks pretty nice. It does a really good job of capturing the character from the show. Like I said, there are some other costumes for the character that I personally really like. It might just be that there's some particular episodes that I really like, and so that's why I like Jaime and his Lannister armor more than the Kingsguard armor. Next up, we'll transition over to Searcy, Jaime's sister. She is in a robe. It's like a metallic gray and mustardy yellow or gold color. She has long hair that's been styled. It's got some braids and things going on in it. And for an accessory, she comes with a wine goblet, which is pretty perfect for Searcy. Her head is articulated, but it's really hard to get any movement out of it because the hair basically overlaps her shoulders, and her waist swivels so easily that pretty much you try and move her head, and she spins at the waist there. But it is possible to move her head, just real difficult. She has articulation at the shoulders, as well as wrist swivels. Below her skirt, she actually has articulated legs, but again, you're really not going to get a lot of movement out of them because of the dress. I'm almost surprised they didn't just sculpt her with a solid dress base. Of these 2 figures, I think Jaime captures the likeness of his on-screen actor much more closely than Searcy. Next up, we've got Jon Snow. We've got Jon in his outfit from The Night's Watch. It's actually more brown than black here, although I think in the show it was a little bit darker. He's got his furry cape. He's got his locks with his little stubbly beard. On his hip, he's got Long Claw, his Valyrian steel sword. It has a removable sheath just like Jaime's sword. I find that this sword hooks on pretty poorly. The peg is very low on his hip, and maybe that's just the only way to get the handle to clear. But I find that it's harder to get this one pegged on. The cape and the shape of the chest really kind of interferes with getting that pegged on there and having him stand. He has similar articulation with articulation point at the head, which again is a very stiff joint. He's got a swivel at the chest there. Articulation at the shoulders that is hindered somewhat by his shoulder pieces of his cape. He's got articulation at the wrists. Hip joints that move much more freely than Jaime's because of the way the skirt is sculpted on him. He has knee joints and ankle articulation. Let's see. Can we put Long Claw in his hand? There we go. These guys never fight. And then the final figure I have to take a look at here is Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys is in a outfit. I think this is something she wears when she's with the Dothraki, but she comes with the whip that she has when she gains the Unsullied army. So I think if she has the whip, she should probably be in the blue dress. But, you know, I guess I'm being nitpicky. Her hair has got some really great sculpted detail in it with the braids. She's got articulation at the head similar to Searcy. It just tends to make her rotate at the waist, though, when you try and move it. But her hair is less in the way of articulation. It's a little bit more sculpted out and away from her arms. She has articulation at the shoulders as well as wrist swivels. There are some slits in her skirt that allow her hips to move pretty decently, as well as knee joints and ankle swivels. But again, we do just kind of run into a lot of issues where the skirt is in the way a little bit when you're trying to pose Dany. Just like with the Lannisters, I feel that the likeness on the male figure is much closer than the likeness on the female character. Last year at New York Toy Fair, when I saw that these figures were coming out and the loyal subjects were switching over to window boxes, I was really hoping to be able to find a lot more of these figures. But I have actually found that they've been pretty tricky to find overall, Hot Topic being mostly the only place that has them. I may have seen a few at a Walmart one time, but there were supposed to be a lot of different lines that they were doing, including things like Alien and He-Man and the Game of Thrones figures. And I was really hoping that these guys would catch on and kind of become a bigger thing, because I do like their figures overall. But they haven't seemed to have really taken on the mainstream the way I thought maybe they would. Thanks for watching this super exciting, outrageous toy review. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos.